So during today's debate club, I posed a question to the group. Isla, would you like to share a bit about what we've been discussing?
Yeah, so the question was, what makes a word valuable or useful?
That's right. What makes some words more useful than others? And I posed this to ChatGPT 3.5 because 4 apparently is having some issues today. But as you
Oh,
can see, ChatGPT came up with 5 characteristics of what makes a word useful. And we were discussing these after some discussion. We decided these seem like pretty good metrics, right? Frequency of use, clarity, specificity, versatility, and emotional impact. I mean, it's arbitrary in a sense that it's not coming up with a objective view of what makes a word unusual or useful is probably impossible. Like there's going to be some level of subjectivity involved, but it passes what you might call the smell test. It seems reasonable, right? So we continued on this journey, and we asked for it to come up with a list of 10 alternatives to the word fun. And we did this because earlier today we were having a Flutter app meetup, or I wasn't there, but Sume, Isla, and Chloe were there. And she described it as fun, but that threw me off a little bit because when I think of fun, I think, like party time, right? Like, and then Sean was saying, like playing video games is fun, right? For the panda here, eating bamboo could be fun, or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it gets boring. But it seemed like maybe we could try to look more deeply into that word to see if there are some alternatives. So we create this list, and I was thinking to myself, it would be useful to actually know how useful these words are and be able to rank order them. So I imagined an index. We call this the word usefulness score based on the 5 elements mentioned. Ask ChatGPT to generate 20 random words and rank order them by their WUS, which I think is a rather funny acronym. So it comes up with this index here. And interestingly, notice that there's a higher weight on the frequency of use than on the other 4 factors here. The factor that it placed the smallest emphasis on was specificity. So one thing we might ask ChatGPT to do is explain why. Like, how did it come up with these weights? But then it generated all these words along with their WUS. So we have love, happy, helpful as being on the top of this randomly generated list. And then we also have scary, awkward, and weird toward the bottom. And I think weird in particular just seems like a cop-out kind of word, right? Like when you've heard the word weird in the past, how did you react to that word being used?
You can pretty much use it for anything that's out of the ordinary or in your perception out of the ordinary
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
call a
or
sculpture
just
weird,
something
but
you
you can
don't
also
like.
you can call a sculpture weird, but you can also call an alien spaceship weird. So there's a large scale between those.
You can
Yeah.
call someone who insulted your shoes weird. You can call anything weird.
Yep,
There's
you can call
usually
yourself weird even.
there can be something unusual or different about just about anything, right? And so the word, I can see why that one in particular, it resonated with me as one that doesn't seem very useful. And I think in certain engagements that you've had with teachers or your parents or other folks like that are trying to help you expand your vocabulary, if you've used a word like weird in the past, then sometimes they will probably say, well, can you elaborate on that? Can you try to dive deeper? Right.
Yeah,
I know I've done that.
a specific question, you would need to ask that question.
So we've got this list, and again, this seems to pass the smell test here. So not only did ChatGPT seem to do a decent job of coming up with metrics, it also seems to be doing a decent job of applying those metrics to these words, which again is a highly subjective kind of analysis here, right? So who's to say that, love is a objectively more useful word than the word interesting, for example, right? But you know, I can see how this might seem reasonable. Although, you know, subject to some further analysis in terms of what's really driving that, I think would be useful. So then we thought, well, let's go ahead and look at 10 synonyms for the word weird so that we can expand our vocabulary, right? We've got peculiar, eccentric, quirky, unconventional, bizarre, offbeat. And then I was hearing you guys respond to this and you're like, what is that word? What is this word? What is that? Right? And so
Idiosyncratic.
idiosyncratic, yeah. So I went ahead and just asked ChatGPT to come up with, you know, the simple definitions for all these words along with an example. And you can see those here. And this was terrific. I think going through this process was very helpful for you guys. And now I think we can put this into a project. I'll take this video, I'll put it on the We Cool School YouTube channel, and we can use this as a featured project for how to use ChatGPT in an educational real-time environment like this one for the debate club. And then we can have a debate about it. Sound good?
Yay!
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.